All right. Good afternoon. Welcome back here to Trader Minute. Great to have you aboard. A lot of negative yesterday. A lot of bad news yesterday, and market managed to hold on. Really managed to hold on. Today, it's not like you can go out and say, "Man, there's a ton of good news." There's just this, that, this. There are a couple things that are fairly positive, but yesterday's negatives were significantly more negative than today's positives, and we see just a complete different reaction here in the markets. And this is the first time we've seen something like this since this most recent correction has started. You'll notice the market bouncing off the 200-day moving average, at least the SPY. Different indexes are doing different things, but a pretty darn positive day here for the markets. It's the right sectors moving, the right sectors driving things. We do have a bullish signal on the market vibe here today. Switching from bearish to bullish. That's not uncommon to see. We saw it back here, and where you just go from bearish to bullish, the metrics change that fast without kind of giving a neutral signal. And that's what we have out there. We have the metrics having changed very quickly without giving a neutral signal. And, just the number of stocks pushing above 7-day moving averages today, big change in that number. And that, we tend to see a big change in that number when the market makes kind of a dramatic change in the metrics. Now, the market vibe's still -4. So it's one where the Bears still have more control of more of the metrics, but the directional signal has changed because we've gone from -10 to -4 in literally 2 days. That's a very fast, very swift move in the metrics, in the internals, and it's the type of move that when we see it, you tend to see a lot of bullish follow through, come in. On that. So that's what the metrics are doing here today in terms of the market vibe. If you look at something like the bullish percent index, BPSPX, it's up to 2.5%, right? Moving up just a little bit. It's the biggest up day in the bullish percent index since middle of April, but this is still controlled by the bears, right? It's still well controlled by the bears. The volume flows. We have seen some really strong volume flows in the bulls' favor here today, and that's one of the things that's switching. We're also seeing some of the sectoral flows switching. Now they're not switching on a 30-day basis. If we look over the last 30 days, the sectoral flows are still very bearish here. But if we come in over the last week and over the last, even the last day, they're changing. We're seeing a shift here. Today tech leading. Okay, great. That's going to go from laggard to leader here with some of the news. But, financials, second biggest leader here today. I mean, financials. We have a market rally being led by financials. Really? It's been a long time since we've seen that. And today we're seeing it. Consumer discretionary, strong here today. Materials, industrials. This isn't just a bottom picker, go buy energy because it's on the bottom type of a day. We're seeing broad-based activity in recent leaders and laggards. We are seeing things with negative news on them and negative downgrades. Rocket ship up like U.S. Steel, was downgraded to sell today by Goldman Sachs. We're just seeing a general kind of buy tone here for the market today, and we're also seeing bonds pull back. I mean, this is the first day, since April that we are seeing bonds pull back in any sort of significant fashion. And that is a big shift, here with that. You can see how the U.S. dollar has been falling, here, which is something that, you hear all this talk about U.S. dollar up and, some of the benefits of that. But, from a global economy standpoint, U.S. dollar down is a better position. And we are seeing the dollar, the dollar struggle here over the course of this week and kind of switching its tone a little bit here. Okay. So anyway, that's the market vibe. Definite switch here in it. Now, oftentimes, what we'll see when it switches like this, we're not going to see more 40-point days added to it. Maybe one or two. But normally you start to see what? You start to see the volatility compress. You start to see the general magnitude of movements compress. To see some of the bigger swings, we tend to not see them as the market vibe turns bullish. That's one of the big factors there. So, as you're looking at positions, as you're looking at things, kind of keep that in mind that, maybe a stock like FedEx here today, moving up 4%, the next 4% is likely to happen, but it might take 3 to 4 days instead of 3 to 4 hours for that to happen, and that's just what we tend to see when the market vibe goes bullish there. Okay. All right. So anyway, that's the market. That's all I'm going to really say about the market. I know there's a lot of opinion and there's a lot of stuff out there. I gave you the bullish case here this morning. I was asked which case I subscribe to, the bullish or the bearish. My response was, does it matter, right? And I just respond that way simply because, in this market right now, things can change very quickly. So yeah, I'm going to react to the metrics, right? I'm going to react to the changes and run with it from there. I shared with you that personally this morning I bought Bank of America on the open, here to the upside. I did the same thing as FedEx. I didn't go buy FedEx, right? Maybe I should have bought FedEx, but I was willing to go buy some Bank of America because it's at a fundamental level and giving some technical stuff that I like. I don't really care about Trump's tweets and trade deal with the U.S. and Mexico and China news and all of that. I know it can all fluctuate, it can all change, it can all affect things, but we talked about the certainty that's in this market. And what is the certainty in this market? The variables are known. It's not like we go and say, oh man, look at all these unknown variables. We know the variables can change in how they play out, but we know what the variables are. Right? And what does that lead to? That leads to fund managers being willing to buy dips and sell rips. And we've seen that, to some extent. We did get kind of U.S. versus Mexico on Friday. So, that created one more kind of dip here. And now we're seeing investors really kind of step in and some of the big money really step in and buy this dip. And I expect that over the course of this summer, we're going to see this. Market starts to get a little overbought. We'll see them sell. And without much fundamental change or maybe even much story change in the big picture, here with things. All right. So enough about that. 100K challenge. We have two signals on the board. ARNC bullish and Disney bullish. And we also have Under Armour. So let's start with Under Armour. We're in Under Armour, and stock profit level is $24.94. And right now, ARNC is at $24.41. Under Armour is at $24.41. So it's 50, 60 cents away. So no need to make a change there with it. Our option value here is $250. So we'll plug that in here, $250. And that puts challenge up over $6,000 here. If I could spell challenge correctly, my apologies there. But that puts challenge up over $6,000. So first double kind of in, not official as the trade is still open, but on track there. And let's face it, what has been quite a choppy market since the challenge started. And challenge started right back here May 9th. Right back here. And, chop down, chop up. We get 3 days basically of sell in a matter of, 7 days. And now big chop up day. Really not a ton of trend there in the overall market. But, we've been able to kind of grab a few things here and there with the algorithm. So, happy with that. And looking to build on that. Now, two signals in play right now: ARNC and Disney. I'm going to go trade Disney. I am not going to go trade ARNC. And ARNC is one that was added to the watch list here, and in the last 10. And these are names that the options just sometimes they're just not feasible. It's just not realistic to go out and trade. And right now, when we look at the ARNC options, here. And when we come into them, the spreads are large, and they get larger as you go into the money, and the delta on it is just not very good at all. It doesn't kind of keep, the option itself doesn't keep in this kind of 3-to-1 risk reward ratio for challenge trades. If we come into something a little shorter term, you'll notice the spreads are about 10% at the money strikes. But once you get into the money by even 50 cents, look at the spreads. They're just ridiculous, and the open interest on them is non-existent. So there's just not the liquidity there for me to really feel good about making a challenge trade, with that signal. And so I'm not going to do that here, as the liquidity is just not good enough right here, right now on Arconic. But that's the only reason. I mean, it's everything else there is signaled and going, and good to go. We also have bullish signal here on Disney here today, coming into play. I actually thought this would kind of trigger too high a consolidation risk to give a signal, but it is a signal here today. We have the 3-7 crossover action happening. It's pushing above the 20-day moving average as well, which is always nice, and trading in the upper end of its range. Now this has kind of had to reset a little bit, since that big kind of investor day move and then the earnings move, and this is just one where this gap here, normally those are earnings gaps, but this was an investor day gap, and then the earnings came out right here, and we saw a sell-off here on the earnings, but Disney has held up phenomenally well here in the month of May, and we have a bullish signal here on it. So let's go trade it. Let's go jump in here. And these options aren't the greatest. They're not they're not the best out there, but they're not horrid. They're not terrible. They're not something that is going to make or break anything here. But if we look at the delta on these kind of July 135s, it's about 50 cents. So a dollar move is about a 50-cent move, about a 15% move in the option there. So it's not huge, but going to go out and trade this here. Let's go grab 6 of these here at 330. I'll put in 330. Yeah, so filled me no problem. These are the July 135 calls on Disney. Now let me make sure the alert goes out here. I had it halfway prepped, but not fully prepped before I start a video. But ticker Disney, price 330. 330 here for it on 6 contracts, right? Yep, 6 contracts, and the strike is the 19th of July. 19th of July, 135 calls. Okay, so 330 was the price there. 6 contracts, 19th of July. There we go. Disney preview trade. Boom. That is out. And I'll wait for the thumbs up here on that. But while I do, let's go fill in the data. Stock price on Disney 134.09 right now. So let's get that in here. 134.09. And we'll get the ATR in here as well, as the average true range is 212 on Disney, $2.12. This is the largest ATR stock that we've traded so far for the challenge. But going to give us our profit levels and everything here. And our auto exit date is going to be 3 days here from today. So the 7th, if the option is red, so 6-7 in the afternoon session. And if the option is green, but hasn't hit the average true range, it's 6-11. So 6-11 in the PM there. There we go. And trade entry price here, 330. 3:30 on 6 contracts, and today's date 6/4 p.m. And the option is the 21st of July. 135 calls. Okay, so 21st of July, 135 calls. In the alert, it's 19th of July. And my apologies for that. That's my error there. But the regular monthlies, you'll notice, we're pretty much making trading the regular monthlies here. And yeah, that is 19th of July. Why do I have 21st of July on my head? Yeah, it is the 19th of July. So it is correct on the trade alert. Not good. I see why. That's what I get for doing it on a spreadsheet in real time. All right. So there we go. 330 is current price. So cash in here, about almost $2,000. Right. So largest position here so far. And trade is open. So we have 2 trades on the board, Under Armour and Disney, and a running here with those. Okay. So pretty simple process, right? Just pretty simple process. Not a whole lot of not a whole lot of fuss here to it. And it's not one of those where where's the price right now and what's it going to do in the next 5 minutes, and is it going to go up in the next hour? Are we overpaying? Is it overbought on the 15-minute chart? And all it just takes all that noise away. And I don't know about you, but I sure appreciate that. So happy to run here with that. Okay. Alrighty. Well, thanks for hopping on. Have yourselves a fantastic evening, and we'll talk to you tomorrow. Take care.